time for Speakeasy with Geri Ellzey.
Thank you for joining us today. We're trying to behave before the show, but I mean, when you have... he is a ham, or, well, whatever, he. We are going to promote the animal shelter for just a few minutes. I have Mark Dillon and Harriet Rapp, who are members of the animal shelter, and trying to get it going. Mark, you want to tell me about the little kitten?
Yes, this little kitten is a foundling, and it is now located at the Northside Animal Hospital under the veterinarian Lee Youngblood, and she's looking for a home.
Okay, now let me understand this. You don't have a shelter yet. That's what you're trying to do, is give enough funds so you will have a place where people can go and get animals.
My mother, Mrs. Joey Dillon, and Mrs. Rapp's daughter, Nancy Squires, are trying to establish a humane society and animal adoption center here in Selma.
Okay, and you've got a lot of support.
I think we do. I think we do.
Now, you've already gotten your charter or whatever. I mean, you've gotten your permission to have a humane society.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So what you need. Can I have, what's his name? Sure. What is it? I don't mean forever. I don't like the way she did that. Sure. Tell me about this.
It's about 3 months old.
Oh,
and
he's
it was
so
left
cute.
on someone's doorstep.
Oh, look at that. Listen, y'all, he is so full of life, just like a 2-year-old or something.
I want to mention that this little kitty can be had from Lee Youngblood, and
does it cost anything?
a donation should be made to the Humane Society. Anything that that person can afford.
Okay, like 25 cents or $50.
Or $50, right.
Whatever. We're not saying the cat costs $50. We're just saying donations. Donations can be made. Look at this lively. Oh my! You're eating. My God, she's a ferocious animal. Golly, my goodness, he's playful.
A cat with personality.
I know it. I'm going to call him Rambunctious.
Rambunctious, that's a good name.
Rambunctious, look in there, and tell those folks that they need you badly. Look at him. He's sort of like Captain Hook, you know, with his... How dare you? How dare you? What do you mean? Oh, my goodness. Oh, gosh. You know, I can't do the whole show on you. I know you like it. Take him back. He is really something. All right, let's just tell the audience one more time that, you know, where they can pick up the kitten.
All right, this little kitten can be obtained at the Northside Animal Hospital from Dr. Lee Youngblood for a donation of whatever that potential pet owner should want to put down. Very nice. It's a female. She's a female. And a little alley cat, a lot of personality, a lot of savvy. Okay. Shouldn't be any trouble.
Well, she's a mess. I mean, she's already, you know, put her paws on me. Look at her. Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to get completely serious and come back and talk about the Landmarks Foundation in Montgomery with Michelle Whitehall. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining me now. Michelle Whitehurst has come from Montgomery to talk about the Landmarks Foundation. And it's a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you.
Patsy Mills says that you do everything.
That I do everything? Well, I think she's absolutely going out of her way for me. I am Vice President of Activities this year. And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite the people of Selma to come to Montgomery and enjoy Landmarks. The two cities are not that far apart. And Selma has so much to offer that we've enjoyed, and we'd like to offer a little bit to Selma as well.
Okay, we have some slides that you brought that maybe we'll look at now that will give a little idea of what is going on at Landmarks, okay? This is Landmarks, right?
This is the Ordman Shaw home, and this is really the anchor building of the Landmarks project. It's a beautiful townhouse done in an Italianate style. Each room is decorated in keeping with the period, and it is also the scene of several social occasions that go on during the year. But it is really, when I first came to Montgomery, basically the Ordman Shaw house was one of the only homes on the complex, and we have grown enormously since then.
We'll talk later on about how you pick the homes that you bring there, or how you choose them. All right, what is this?
This is, again, inside the Ordman Shaw house, and it's decorated for Christmas. And I'd like to take this opportunity to invite our friends from Selma to come to the Ordman Shaw house December 16th to help us celebrate Christmas in the district.
I imagine that you really do it upright, that it's old-fashioned.
We really do. Here's an example of something that would be interesting to children from Selma. This is our role-playing, and I'd like to stress that a number of super projects go on all during the year, a lot of them specifically geared to children, and this little girl is experiencing what it would be like to carry on a daily activity in that time period.
Okay, and is this one of the little, do they call them shotgun houses?
Yes, this is one of our new acquisitions. It is a little shotgun house, and it's gorgeous. It's just been finished.
Okay.
This is Bartholomew. He is the Landmarks mule, and he is enjoying himself.
Why does Landmarks have a mule?
Well, because at that time people did have mules, and this might be a good chance to talk about the study that we're doing of our downtown. Spirited by Nick Holmes, who I think was instrumental in working with your downtown preservation. And mules were a very important part of transportation then, because the lightning route, the streetcar system, was just coming into fruition, and so people relied on mules.
Okay, so you have given it authenticity. All right, what is this?
These are cloggers, and they are performing for an activity that during Jubilee this summer, these little girls performed. And in this area, this is a very interesting area because it's a type of farmyard. Over behind the girls is our grape arbor. And Jubilee was a very big success for Landmarks this year, and the cloggers were very much enjoyed.
Okay, so in other words, in this area out here, a lot of times you have some activity going on when you have a special event.
We do. This building, what we're seeing, is the rear of Lucas Tavern, which is another very important building in the complex. And
is it a real tavern now?
It is a real tavern, and it's been lovingly restored, and it was visited by Lafayette. So it has a lot of historical
where did it come
significance. That I don't know. I wish I could answer that for you.
Don't really know where the tavern, well, that's interesting, you know. We can always use our imagination.
Absolutely. It came from some fascinating places.
Yes, yes. Okay, what is this?
This is the entrance to the North Hall Historic District. This is the outside shot of Lucas Tavern. And again, let me stress, this was a complex that probably took up a block and a half 4 years ago and is now encompassing 2 whole city blocks.
And what y'all have done, as I understand it from reading in the paper, you bring them in on trucks.
The houses are very carefully selected to make sure they're in keeping with the period, and also importantly, that they can be disassembled and transported. And then they're brought to the district, they're put back together again and renovated.
Okay, do we have another slide? Was that it? All right, here's one more. Do you have a schoolhouse?
We have a church. We have a wonderful Baptist church. And these children are participating in one of our school day activities. They are going through an actual day in the life of a child at that time period. They're doing their lessons and sitting on their little desks and enjoying themselves.
How do they react to that, school in that period?
I think they're fascinated. We just had a grandmother's day where children came again and spent the whole day role-playing. And they were so interested in what their grandmother's life was really like. And that is one of the really neat things about Landmarks, because it brings history alive and it involves everybody in that process. So instead of just reading, you can actually go down there and experience what's going on.
Makes a lot of difference. It really does.
Wonderful. It is wonderful.
Now, you were talking about the buildings that are selected, and I was wondering, I'm sure you have a committee of some type, well, you have a foundation, and who is in charge of selecting the buildings? Do you have a list of qualifications and that type of thing?
Well, I think there are a list of qualifications. Essentially, our director, Mary Ann Neely, and then the founding force behind Landmarks, Jimmy Loeb, I think are really the two. But we have all our members trained as spotters, and whenever they travel and see a building that they feel might be appropriate, then they confer. The building is visited several times and again judged to see whether it can be moved, whether it really is a good example of that type of architecture. Then we have to procure the money to move the building.
All right, where does the money come from?
Well, the money comes in bulk from our auction. And the auction is held every 2 years, and the proceeds of the auction are usually used to make acquisitions with.
Okay, this is something I've heard about from time to time. In the auction, do you do paintings, or what type of auction is it?
It's a fabulous auction. It really kind of defies description because there's a little bit of everything. There are wonderful trips, fabulous parties, exquisite artwork, clothing, stained glass, just a cornucopia of selection.
All right, how do they do this? Do people donate things?
In essence, everything is donated, and
Okay.
the Montgomery community is...
But it is really, you know, I've heard Patsy talk about it before, and the trips are just unreal, you know.
That's why we can only do it once every 2 years. But really, when we have
it takes 2 years to build it up, I guess.
it takes 2 years to really organize it. It's an enormous undertaking. It's by invitation and open to the public, so there is a fee to come to the auction, and you have a wonderful dinner and some kind of entertainment, and then you get to bid, which is the best entertainment of all. We've just had a very successful auction this past spring, and have acquired a home in Lowndes County that we will be moving to the grounds fairly soon.
Okay, we'll hear about that more when we come back from this break. We'll be right back. Michelle Whitehurst is here today, and she is Director of Activities for the Landmarks Foundation in Montgomery. And tell me again where Landmarks is located.
Landmarks is in what we consider to be the North Hull Historic District. It's, gosh, you've asked me for the cross street and I'm drawing a blank, but it's very easily marked. If you come to Montgomery, go down Madison Avenue, you'll see the signs for it. The main street that runs past it is North Hull Street, and it's very easy to find, and there are landmarks everywhere to help you find it.
Okay. And how many did you say were out there all told now buildings?
The number of buildings, I'm not sure, but I would easily guess that we have well over 15. And we have...
My gosh.
I know,
you
it's
said
super.
In 4 or 5 years?
In 4 or 5 years, we have a fabulous church, which was there when I first came to Montgomery. We have a wonderful doctor's office. We have a wonderful grocery store.
Tell me about the doctor's office.
It's precious. It looks a little bit like a log cabin from the exterior, but when you go inside, you can see all of the doctor's instruments and his appointment book.
How did you ever find a doctor's office that was authentic from that? Now, I know of one down in Wilcox County, Dr. Fudge's office, but where did you get this one?
That I don't know because it was there.
But I mean, I think, you know, I mean, where would you find one of those old little small?
We have people who look everywhere every time they travel, and if you hear about something, it's always worth bringing up because then
I'm sure they're going out in the really the rural areas. You know,
well, there are places still tucked in Montgomery that need to be discovered and encouraged, but there's a program that's coming up next summer that I really think will be of interest to our listeners as well. It's geared for children. It's going to be a camp loosely based on what they do in Huntsville, and we're tentatively calling it Settlement Days. It'll be an opportunity for 10 children to come and spend a week in the historic district, learn different crafts, learn how to prepare food authentically, and develop menus, and it's going to be very exciting. And we're looking forward to that project.
Well, you were talking about all the activities that go on, and what do you think of all these things?
Well, we have people like Patsy, and we really are lucky that some of the most fascinating people in Montgomery, I think, have made themselves a part of Landmarks, and that's why it's such a thriving organization.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank
Michelle.
you for
it's been
having
a pleasure
me.
having you. And when you go to Montgomery, we'll make a special trip over there to go and see Landmarks, and I think you'll really enjoy it. It's an offspring of the Historic Preservation Society in Alabama. I have a thought for the day. It's going to take a little more time than it usually does, but I thought that it was very appropriate, especially for me at this time. And it's called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowances for their doubting you, if you can wait and not be tired of waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stop and build them up again with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch or toss, and lose and start again at the beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you to serve your turn along after they're gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, I'll hold on. So have a nice day. I did that a little fast, didn't I? So I will tell you a little bit about what we're going to have next week. Judge Edgar Russell is going to be here on Monday. He has retired from being, I think, 5th Circuit Court Judge. Am I doing that right? And he's going to reminisce about his years. Plus, he's my neighbor, and I know a lot of things about Judge Russell. So we're going to have a fun time. And on Tuesday, Nancy Squires will be here, and she's going to talk about renovation downtown and all the lovely things that are going on with the buildings. And on Wednesday, we are going to visit the zoo, the Montgomery Zoo, on tape that we did this week. And we were lucky to be here because there was a lioness that was in love with the cameraman, and he's lucky to be back. So then on Thursday, we're going to talk about mental health with Sarah Palmer, and that's it, and I'm bye now.
Join us next time for Speakeasy.